She never used to notice the window, not really. It was just glass, fractured, frosted at the corners, half covered in ivy, just a window until the night. She saw it blink. It wasn't the wind, not the candlelight either. It was a flicker, behind the glass, a shape, a watching. She remembers her breath stopping, not from fear, not yet, but from something worse, recognition. That night, the window saw something, and so did she, but only one of them ever remembered, until now. This is the Vicar's confession. Someone saw that night, brought to you by the hidden chapter. Because what the shadows remember always finds its way back. Before the story continues, they always said the window was just glass, just a way to let the light in. But sometimes, light is a witness, and sometimes it remembers more than the people who pass by. Olivia knew that now, that windows can watch, and that some memories, like secrets, cling to the corners of old glass. She didn't come back for answers. She came to ask the question she never dared speak out loud. What did the window see that night, and why? Did it never forget? Because even in silence, some truths refuse to stay hidden. And tonight, the window is watching again, waiting for her to see what it saw and what it still remembers. She hadn't been back. Not since that night, the night the window blinked. Not since the vicar's voice stopped carrying through the stone walls. Not since the chapel became a graveyard for secrets. But this morning, the fog parted just enough for her to see it again. That crooked steeple, that broken bell, and the window, frosted at the edges, like it was trying to forget what it saw. She didn't bring the journal, or the letters, or the hook, only her breath, and the one name that wouldn't leave her alone. Inside, the air was colder than outside. She touched the pew where she last sat. The wood was still splintered, still holy. And then she looked up. The stained glass window, the one she had always ignored. It was brighter now, clearer, like it had waited for her to see it with eyes that knew grief. There was a flicker, a movement behind the glass, a suggestion, not a shadow. But when she turned, there was no one there, only a silence so loud, it sounded like truth. She didn't remember the moment clearly, not like a scene, more like a feeling that had waited years to be named. It hadn't spoken, hadn't moved, but it was there, in the chapel, in the glass, watching. Even now, it didn't reveal itself, only flickered, like memory, like guilt. She turned, but the chapel was empty, still. The window pulsed, just once, as if someone behind it had blinked. The vicar had written something once, just a line. He said the light in the chapel changed when she was near. Who was she? And what did the light know that people never dared to ask? She sat on the old bench by the side wall, the one near the window. The frost had melted in just one patch, a handprint, or the ghost of one. The sun caught the stained glass, and for just a second, the colors flared like fire. A woman's face flickered in the panes, but it wasn't Olivia's, not entirely. She stood too quickly, knocked the candle over. It didn't break, but the wax spilled in the shape of a cross, and she whispered, not to God, but to the one she felt was listening, "Please, I'm still here." She had stood in the chapel once before, when she was young. She wasn't supposed to be there, not that late, not alone. But the door had been open, and the light had been strange. It had come from behind the pulpit, candlelight flickering, two voices low. One, the vicar, the other, unfamiliar, tired, shaking. They weren't praying. She remembered the sound of wood shifting, a box being opened, papers, then a name. Abigail, and then the vicar's voice. "She can't know." That's when Olivia backed away, one step, then two, but her shoe caught the stone, a soft scrape, nothing loud, but enough. The voices stopped, a chair moved, and the candlelight dimmed. She ran, didn't look back, didn't wait to understand, because sometimes not knowing felt safer. But now, she would have stayed, would have listened, she would have heard what they buried, because that night, someone made a confession, and Olivia missed it. She didn't return for answers. She returned for quiet, for stillness, for that uneasy peace the chapel always gave her. But peace wasn't waiting. She saw it first in the stained glass, a flicker, a shape, the silhouette of someone passing. She froze, because the figure wasn't outside, it was on the inside of the glass. The chapel had always cast shadows, but this one felt wrong, too human, too present. She stepped toward the window. The colored light trembled across her face. The figure moved again, behind her. She turned, slow, every hair on her arms rising. Nothing, just rows of pews, silent candles, and breath she could see, but couldn't feel herself take. And yet, she knew. She knew something had been there, watching, not waiting to be found, but making sure she kept going. There was more, and it had just revealed itself, without saying a word. She returned to the chapel, not for answers, but for the last line he never wrote. The journal sat where she'd left it, cold, still, like a witness too tired to speak. She opened it. And for a moment, it looked blank, but then, faint words began to lift under the candle's breath. She ran. She was bleeding. I didn't see what happened. I only saw what was left behind. The candle flickered. Her father said silence would spare her name, but it buried her instead. I tried to protect them all, But sometimes, silence is the loudest sin. Olivia's hand trembled, because it wasn't just guilt on the page, it was fear, and love, and shame twisted into prayer. A knock, 3 soft knocks, on the chapel door. She turned. No one. But in the snow, a voice. You weren't the only one who saw it. We don't always get to choose what happens, but we always choose what we do next. Truth can hurt, but silence can haunt. If something inside you still echoes, tell someone, not the whole world, just someone safe, someone who listens like the river. Even the deepest wounds can heal when brought into the light. This story was about confession, but healing starts when we no longer carry what was never ours to hold. If this story moved you, don't let it end in silence. Like it, if it left a mark. Share it with someone who's walked through silence. Subscribe if you believe the truth still matters. Because the next chapter is already waiting, and your voice might be the one someone needs to hear. This is the hidden chapter, and it's not over yet.
And now, a final word from the hidden chapter. Every story ends, but sometimes the silence after says more than the words themselves. I shaped this tale with care, blending tools and imagination to leave you with something real. If it sparked a thought or left a question, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, share the story, and join me for the next chapter.